Hello, and I am literally back from like 19 minutes ago. Nah. Anyways, I just wanted to say hello and welcome to the channel. My name is Lee, and tonight I am doing reviews in a dimly lit room for some horror. Actually, the truth of the matter is I can't figure out how to get good lighting. It's terrible. But I figured for these reviews, being that they're horror movies, this will add to the ambiance. So hopefully I get that spooky effect that I'm going for. Or I just look like an idiot who can't figure out lighting. Either way, I'm here for you guys. This review is going to be on a movie that's one of my personal favorites. And it is by one of my favorite directors of all time. I mean, I put them back up, like I put George here, Spielberg, and then John right like here, John Carpenter. If you guys don't know who John Carpenter is, in the 80s, John Carpenter created one of the greatest horror movies of all time, The Thing, which The Thing had originally been a black and white film, but John Carpenter had remade it back in about 84, and it starred Kurt Russell, and it was one of my favorite horror movies as a kid. The special effects were great. It was very gory. It was very scary, and it had a really great message to it about this fear of not knowing the person next to you and how this creature was taking over their body. What most people don't know, and this is the history part of this review, is that John Carpenter had made 3 films that act as a trilogy, and they play on a much larger theme. So The Thing is the first in the trilogy, and it's about the destruction of the mind. The Prince of Darkness, which is the second in the trilogy, The Thing was the body. The Prince of Darkness is the soul, and this film, In the Mouth of Madness, is the mind and the world. So all 3 of them together are meant to be viewed as one kind of picture, and they all touch on different things. Now, I did do a review on The Thing a while ago, but I've been meaning to update it, so I might. And I'm going to do a review on The Prince of Darkness, which is kind of my least favorite film out of the 3, but they all work together, and then I'm going to make a video on how they all connect, so that way you guys can kind of see the coherence in the filmmaking. Now, to get us started, for anyone who watches my channel, just to know, this is an R-rated film, so there are some things in here and things that I will be explaining that are not exactly for youngsters. So disclaimer out of the way. Now let's dive right into it. I already started the history lesson, but this film is so much more. This film has one of my favorite actors, and his name is Sam Neill. Sam Neill has been doing movies and cameos forever. If you guys ever seen a movie called Event Horizon, he was in that. He was also in a historical drama called The Tudors. He's a very accomplished actor, and this is a young Sam Neill in his prime, and he is just terrific. He plays a investigator called Trent, and he is on the case to try to find this author who just up and disappeared named Sutter Kane, which I always thought was kind of funny because it kind of reminded me of like Stephen King or something like that. You know, like one of these authors who's very weird and obscured in their writing. And that was the first thing that lured me in. Now, the premise of the movie is this guy is making a new book. And this book is part of a larger series that he's created. And this final book, something amazing is supposed to happen. No one knows what it is. And the publishing company hires Trent to track down Sutter because he has not turned in the final manuscript to the book. So everyone's up in arms. And this is a good look at the corporate world, because they're like, we don't care about this guy and being an enigma. We just want the manuscript because we have a release date, and he hasn't met the release date yet. So Trent goes across country and goes to track him down, and he lands in this little town called Hobbs End. And upon his journeys, he's trying to find out more about this author, and he starts reading his books. And psychologically, he finds out that there's a lot of strain from consistently reading them, that they're quite detailed and horrific. And that he's also intrigued based on how this guy has laid out his foundation of what the end of this book is, how it's so spectacular to every book that he's ever made. Now, if you hadn't seen the movie, I don't want to make this a spoiler. This is more of a why you should see it. But let's just say this film dives right into a lot of crazy things, and you got to really pay attention to the movie, because the end of the film will blow your mind once you figure out exactly everything that's going on in this town and with this author and what this book represents. So that's a brief overview. If you haven't seen it, watch it, and maybe one day I'll do a spoiler, because then I can go into like plot points and different narratives that are going on, because this movie's got a lot going on. Now, John Carpenter is a master of horror. He's a master of creature design, and he's good at storytelling. This movie has phenomenal puppetry. Some of the things and creatures that you see are old school animatronics. This is before CGI got really big. So there is none of that artificial kind of digital stuff that they do now. It's all done with puppets, and scary puppets. Really scary, horrific looking things that inhabit this world. More importantly, John Carpenter is a storyteller, and you really root for this guy, Tret, and you really want to know what this book is about. And by the time you get to the end, you're so invested in this man's journey. Now, don't get me wrong, there's another character, hold on, because she's so obscure, I gotta look it up. Her name is Linda Stiles. She's kind of like the guy that or the girl that Tret falls in love with, and she's got her own story going on, and she is interconnected into this at the end. The brilliant part about this film is that there's really only like 4 or 5 main characters, or I mean, not even, like 2 of them are really important, and the rest are just kind of in there. But he doesn't introduce a lot of people, and it essentially is shot in this one town. By the time you get to the end of the film, it is really crazy. So, I mean, only using 3 main characters for your whole entire story is really hard to do. And to make us care about them is even tougher, but he fleshes them out very well. So you're hearing a lot of pros. What are my cons? My con is that this is a great movie, but the fact that most people won't be able to watch it because it's very disturbing film. Very disturbing. And if you've seen The Thing, you know the kind of realm of work that John Carpenter works in. And the fact that there are a lot of things in this movie that would bother the typical movie watcher. I mean, it gets pretty heavy with some of its themes. And it's 90s and 2000s. That dialogue era was was terrible. Okay, I love 90s films, I love 80s films, and I love the 2000s, but the dialogue is horrible in some points. Like, some of it's just downright bad. But you care so much about the characters, sometimes you overlook the really corny lines in the film. So, I mean, I'm really reaching for pros or cons for this film. Unlike new movies, the older movies had a lot going for them. And the fact that some of the creatures can look kind of wonky. Like, there's a scene where they're running down this like interdimensional portal kind of deal, and one puppet looks really terrible. It looks so bad. It looks really fake. I mean, you could tell this film was made back in the day. But other than that, I really have to reach. Now, the crux and the great part of this movie, and watch it, is the ending. And I don't want to give it away. But the fact that this movie was one of the only films I've ever seen do this, the end of the film will trip your mind out, because it got me. Because I'm sitting here watching it, and it plays as if we, the audience, are experiencing this, and we're gonna go crazy with this film, because the whole theme of the film is about madness, and whoever reads this last novel, they go insane. So I don't want to give too much away, but basically the crux of the story is dealing with insanity and reliving the same thing over and over again, and a whole bunch of other themes. And when you get to the end of the movie and you find out what's really happening, and that you're actually involved in the story and you don't realize it, it's really crazy. This is a well-made film. This is how you tell a good story. This is how you tell a good horror story, because this movie scared me. To this day, it still scares me when I watch it. Like, I could watch it in a dark room and turn off all the lights and have to turn some back on, because it's quite terrifying to see this character struggle. And I think even more terrifying is how this relates to us as people. This movie is called In the Mouth of Madness, and it deals directly with insanity and this notion of doing the same thing over and over again, and doing it the same way and expecting different results. That's the definition of insanity. And this is the definition of what that is. I mean, I wish I could tell you the ending, but when you get to the ending, it solidifies what the movie is about. And if you think a movie that's titled In the Mouth of Madness has a happy ending, it does not. Okay, you probably, any smart person will figure out this is not a movie that ends very well for all the people involved. And the great part is John Carpenter makes his character so good that you are literally rooting for this guy the whole entire film. And once you figure out what's going on, you're really rooting for him. And then when you get to the plot twist at the end of the film, you're just like, oh my God. Wow. Did that just happen? That's what kind of movie this is. So if you're bored one evening and you got nothing to do and you're going through my reviews and you're like, oh, an obscure film, In the Mouth of Madness, what is this about? I want you guys to rent it, check it out, maybe TiVo it. They have it on the movie channels. And I want you to see some pretty fine filmmaking at its best. Yes, I love Poltergeist. I mean, I can go on. I'm really behind on new movies. I just recently caught up. But yeah, man, I've been dying to do some old school movies. I want to get Poltergeist. I want to do The Exorcist. The Exorcist personally scared the living crap out of me when I was a kid. Like, to this day, if I watch The Exorcist, oh my goodness, like, I have to put all the lights on. Because Linda Blair throwing up and her rotating head, and Exorcist movies are the one thing that gets me. Not the new films that have come out, but the old school Exorcist movies are crazy. So yeah, I do like Poltergeist. And what's interesting too is I'd like to do a review on that, because in real life, all of those stars died, and they died in mysterious circumstances, which is why I believe people shouldn't mess with that subject, man, because pretty much the whole cast died mysteriously. So just a little extra facts for you guys who come on the channel. But you can look it up. It's it was a crazy thing. So anyways, that's my little side piece for this movie. But check out In the Mouth of Madness. Check out Sam Neill. Google him and see his other movies. He did a remake on Sci-Fi for Merlin, which was excellent. And he's done a lot of other really great films. On Netflix, he's in the first season of a show called the Pinky Blinders, which is a phenomenal show. He's in the first 2 seasons. He plays the antagonist, and he is just a brilliant actor. So if you get a chance, check out more of his movies. You can look it up on Google. They got the filmography, and you can see all of the other stuff that he's done. But that's pretty much my piece. Yeah, Ghost Ship. Oh my God, forgot about Ghost Ship. It was so terrible. It was good. That's one of those weird movies that it was that cringe bad when they started doing the CGI to mix it with films, but at the same time I love it. It's a so bad that it's good kind of movie. I think I want to do a rant on that. Movies that are so bad they actually turn out being really good films. But anyways, that's my review for tonight. I've done all 3 videos, so congrats, thank you, and thank you for everyone who stuck through and actually listened to my rambling for 15 minutes about this movie. I appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. DeParish, for recommending these films to me, because I actually, going back through and watching this, I forgot how great some of this stuff is, and I appreciate you coming over to my channel. And I know some people came from Geeks and Gamers too, and they know those sites, so they gave me a shout out, and Anna, that Star Wars girl, gave me a shout out, and I'm glad to get the subscribers. So if you know anyone who's into non-biased reviews, or who would like to hear someone who goes in depth in a movie and rants on, then tell them to subscribe to this channel, hit that buzzer to get notifications of when I post. And most of my reviews are live streamed, so I post them live for you guys so that you can write comments and I can answer them as I'm reviewing the film. So thank you very much. I love everyone out there. And as I always say, you guys be the judge with your eyes. Don't take my word for it. See something and then form your own opinion. All I can do is give you guys critique, but at the end of the day, it's up to you to decide what is good and what isn't. Thank you very much for joining my stream, and as always, I'll see you at the movies. Bye for now.